Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not dorm. But when you doorbell, it's like, as soon as you stop. Anyway, see you later. Yes. So,
I'm sure there'll be opportunities for doorbell in the near future. I'm actually hiring doorbell.
yeah, we had one for Anthony. I actually took the doorbell for Anthony and tilled the soil so that these candidates come later. It's like, oh, well, somebody that, how do you feel about the flyers? I love the flyers.
Because if there's an issue that you guys are wanting to do for the county, you can adopt the same format so that there's flexibility.
Well, you know, I talked to Fritz about
Is that a rum coke or is that? Yeah, we're fine. We're like, yeah. We don't freak me out, right?
After this,
We were part of LPWA. We were making it a format and
here we are. Saddled up. There's my all. I don't know who's
literally
in.
how we were.
are they on the website and everything down the
Ah.
I remember I forgot this. Oh, you're home, right?
They go on the
That's so cool.
You do know me. That's right.
Hey, share.
I don't know.
Facebook, go to the LPW. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
You know what? I should have noticed that.
Yes.
because it's not letting me share it.
What the? Well, they changed something.
Yeah, because you used to be able to do this on your phone. Now it feels like you can only do it on computers. But there has to be a way to get a link.
Oh yeah, there should be a way. Okay, so if you go share, click on share, and
Oh,
then
copy link. Duh, right there. Okay, cool.
So here's something funny. It just opened the same.
It changed or something, and they did something where the F and they do that constantly, little things. And not like
I live in one, they have what's called the donut. So here's Richland, here's like West Richland, here's Kennewick over here, here's Basel. This is what they call.
So need me to share something?
Layla's doing it. Facebook decided to change shit because you remember you used to be able to share a link directly onto a different page. Now you need to copy the link and then paste the link. It just
No, I find it live streaming then. Is it a live stream?
no, it's not. It's not YouTube. It's streaming on YouTube. It's not YouTube. It's the Facebook app that's changed.
Yeah, yes, you can share as a group.
But you know, it's pretty much my halfway point. So technically, still actually a little further.
Yeah, I used to be able to. There used to be another little drop down. Pick the style of post it's going to be.
Anyway, I just had the great fact. I think that we have turned a corner.
What I already studied that.
There is a lot of guy on her. Yeah, well, exactly.
Hey Larry, you're going to be using mics?
Well, there is one here, but we don't normally, so it's like, so yeah, that's some great.
I'm just like
I think it might be overkill.
Probably. If not, somebody will complain and. Well, I gotta mix all that. I gotta like cut out all the, because they just let the recorder going, so I gotta cut all the lunch, and then I'm gonna try to clean up the audio too. So.
Someone passed away. He was a family.
Ryan Whitten here?
He's passed away. So I'm teasing. That's why I said Layla. I was.
After my name, my ears are burning.
I know Ryan got elected.
My ears are burning.
So you're the treasurer. Yeah, so I was like, I'm not going to read your name, right?
I was gonna say, hey Randy, you want to sit on this chair right next to it? Not unless you want the back of your head in the shot the entire time.
No, that's probably not a good idea. Thank you, sir.
Better at math.
If we could grab one and pass it around if you're on the board, the agenda.
So Randy, and I think I have a problem with. Pigs are flying around.
If you want to pass it down, just,
Oh,
yeah.
you wanted to pass it.
Yeah. And I think I've got one already.
Oh, you have an agenda?
Don't know where it's.
Jacob, here's yours. Larry, here's yours. Emily,
Oh,
you might be
this is,
more appropriate.
oh, that's fine. Yeah, either one. Yeah.
Do we have enough?
Yeah.
Raylene, if you don't mind my asking, did you put the streaks in since yesterday?
Yes. Yes.
Like, I don't remember that before. I mean,
Spread out.
okay.
Yeah.
Still.
Oh, that's okay. I want to stay way away from
Someday I might.
camera. Oh, that's my bad stuff. It's my bad
You
stuff.
should see my towels. Just from, what was I'm still living with my ex.
Yeah.
And has just been doing like, no, I don't. No, doing like the, he does like the rainbow stuff and everything, and it just, all my towels just have like paintball.
I did my hair magenta when I was young, and it's fun, but my phone got stained. And all that kind of stuff.
You don't think of the collateral damage.
Yeah, throw out how hard it is on your hair.
Actually, can you guys like scoot that way? Like I can get more people in the shot.
I thought I had Auburn just from having done it so much and like changed what their natural colors.
How good it is.
Michelle, if you two want to come down this way a little bit more, that way the speakers can get a better shot for everybody.
Instead of the back of people's heads,
You go and take a picture and then.
just paste things onto the back. This is who this is.
Wow, Larry, what is going on there?
I know, looking cool.
Cool glasses.
Boy, Bill is here, so.
Why not?
Hey, Raylene, can you move over?
I found, I know it's stupid in the sense of.
It makes a better shot.
You got it.
I was so excited I found this pen. This pen was given to me by pretty much my adopted dad, and he passed away a number of years ago. But this was his pen when he was doing financial services. He worked for Primerica, which was under the Travelers Group years ago and such. And I thought somebody stole it because I usually store it in this little wooden flip-up thing, and it disappeared from my office. And I was just furious. And what I didn't realize is I had stuck it in one of my jackets. And I don't wear my suits all the time, and so when I took my suits to the theater for convention, and I got the back, there was this little baggie, and inside of it was this pen, and I just was like, you thought I'd been reunited with a lost family member or something. This is the dumbest thing, but it's just like, oh my gosh, it's here. Anyway, so I was excited.
Men's Warehouse. I got the same suit.
Do you really?
Yes.
It's a nice suit.
Yeah, it was. It is.
Yeah, they're great because they can help tailor fit, and I am not exactly an easy guy to fit suits for her, so yeah, no, they've been great.
Well, I hope you can see that if he is the nominee, he's enthusiastic.
Well, while Rory's getting things ready, I just want to say just how pleased I am with Holiday in here. I think they did a fantastic job. I really hope we can do business with them again. If we're growing, we're obviously gonna be too big for this thing. But I would hope maybe we can do business with them on county level or other events or something, some social functions, because they're phenomenal, their staff's been phenomenal. They even have some libertarians. You hear the staff. So, yeah, unfortunately, they were all a number of them were working, but I'm sure they probably poked their head in a couple of times.
Did we identify them?
Well, one of the gentlemen who did check-ins at the front desk there, he does a podcast with a friend of his, and they're very libertarian. He invited me to do a podcast.
Yeah, he said yes.
Yes, they pushed. I said yes.
Thought keep in mind, next year's presidential, there may be a presidential swing candidate, could be a place to have a reception.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that, I've made sure to say thank you to them. I hope the rest of us can have an opportunity to thank them. I think they did a phenomenal job, so. Yes, we can, and actually at the dinner, I thanked Maya for her efforts, putting this together. Yes, thank you very much.
And I had two
Appreciate the
people
hard
that
work.
loved the location, and I made sure she knew that. They came up to me and were like, oh gosh, this location's amazing, so. The attendees? Yeah, I had two. One was Bill Healy. He came up and said, I just really like this location at Issaquah. That was before we could really break in the hotel, see if we liked them or not, but the location was pretty centralized.
So, you ready? Okay, so I will go ahead and call this first SEC meeting of the new elected representatives to order. Mr. Secretary, would you please do the roll call? Present.
Present.
Jacob.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
Bill. Bill Johnson.
Exactly.
And Josh Cups. Johnny Cups. Sonny Patterson. Here.
Get Region 5?
No.
No. And then Ryan Whitten. Okay. Larry is here. And Layla Bush.
Here.
Raylene Lightheart.
Right here.
Ralph Edwards. Not here. Sam McCutcheon. Not here. Okay. So, Raylene's gonna stand in for Drew, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8 out of 10. So we have 1.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. So, just to kick off this meeting, it's going to be pretty nothing too official. Really just wanted to take this opportunity for all of us to be together here and introduce ourselves if we're not already familiar with each other, and just give a little bit of introduction to each other. So I'd just like to go around the room and introduce yourselves, and just maybe a quick soundbite, just a few words on what you hope to gain out of participating on the board for your term. And I'll have Michelle start.
Well, thank you. This is really exciting. I am so thrilled to see the evolution that happened this weekend. Like, I was just talking to Sunny about, I'm Michelle, I think
We've heard of you.
My reputation precedes me. I think we have really built some bridges this weekend, and I'm thrilled to work with Raylene and Tiffany and Emily. I'm super excited to have the female presence on the board. And what I would like to see is kind of like what I talked about. We need to reach for the win. Recruiting, education, activism, challenging, and harnessing the power, because Washington State needs us. And so my focus will be growing King County and Snohomish County. And I talked with Randy a little bit maybe about communications. We can talk about that a little bit later. But I'm absolutely thrilled, guys, and I think we're gonna rock.
Raylene Lightheart, I think I know everybody here. So, known from the comm team, and I'm just an alt, right? So I show up to meetings a lot of times even if Bill's there, but I will be there when Bill's not. It'll be fun. We'll keep varied principles. We'll take in all of our members' input and represent them, because we are not their leaders, we are their representatives. I think that everyone here understands that, and really excited to have shared vision, goals, and understanding of what our duties are. This is exciting.
Hi, my name's Roy Leckban, and I'm the secretary. I was busy typing when you said what we were doing. Are we introducing ourselves, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
And just what you hope to get out of your term here on the board.
okay. I hope to get more help doing the stuff the secretary's gonna do. I'm sorry, I'm not really prepared. No, we've got a lot of great ideas that we can implement this year to enable candidates and county parties and regions to build their organizations. And that's my primary focus, is to help people get skin in the game and build the infrastructure that we need to educate and win elections.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Emily Hertley, here because I'm the Community Relations Director. No longer the Region 5 alt, just too much going on. So I want for this season of our tenure that for us to be working to poise ourselves for 2020. We have to be ready for that election. That means we have to get our infrastructure finalized, and we've been working on that. I have a lot of ideas that I want to make happen now, although I do want to eventually get feedback on the shirts that, yeah. So, so you've seen a little bit. I'm going to do more, and especially bring in more people, and make libertarian education more accessible than we ever have before. Thanks.
My next. Larry Nicholas, y'all should know me hopefully. I've been active since '97 or so, and starting to get more active again. I figured I can be alternate to Jacob. He never misses a meeting, so that should be pretty easy. But yeah, former chair and convention chair, and I think the convention came out pretty well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm Jacob Lamont, Region 1 representative. I've been here a while. I don't even think about it anymore, whether, or not I should run. It's just one of those things. It's how I contribute. But you guys will notice a huge change. I was waiting for this convention to do, and I've been waiting for probably 2.5 years to make a decision and to go on this. I have been slowly building my region kind of quietly in the background, but I'm about ready to pull the trigger on it. You guys are going to see a lot of recruits. I just recruited 2 people that were on the street corner, by the way. So, that's just what I do. I have a simple way of explaining libertarian ideology, and I sell it. And I sell it in my shop every day, and my region is going to blow up. Because I found a lot of libertarians, they're like, oh, I just don't join the party. So now my sell pitch isn't really, are you libertarian? It's really, how do I get them to join the party? So you're going to see an increase, a heavy increase. I brought Michael Scott kind of back into the fold.
Yeah.
And so So there's a lot of progression in my region. It's gonna be huge. The only one that's not gonna go very well is probably San Juan. That's hard. There's a lot of communists, literal communists in the San Juan community. So it's hard to reach out to them. And usually when I do find somebody in those communities, they're military, so they're gonna move anyways. So, and that's out in Whidbey Island. So that's a tough area, but Island County, I think, and Skagit is just prime for the picking. And then Whatcom, well, Whatcom's always been strong, forever. So that's kind of, I have a vision, I have a goal. You're gonna see a lot more of it. I'm gonna have a lot of get-togethers up there. The American Legion reached out to me recently. They want my store, out of all the stores in all of Whatcom County, my store to represent them, because they heard good things about me. So that's another end to the veteran community that desperately needs our voice. I'm gonna be reaching out to the Native American tribes, me and Alan Acosta. We're gonna do some work on that. I will be presenting 3 to 4 different things that people are reaching out to me to present to us on the SEC. I made a lot of good connects just in the last couple of days at this convention, where they realized that I can do some of this work and present it to us and maybe get some good influence in the right direction, because I think the Native Americans are tired of the Democrats and Republicans also. They're not being heard. Their land is still kept, and it's a travesty. They deserve to have that land, and it was a treaty. We believe in contracts, and that is BS. So I can hit a nice sweet spot up in my region with that. So that was a little longer winded than I anticipated, but I just wanted to let you guys know I'm pulling the trigger on a lot of things coming up, so you're going to see hopefully a lot of good stuff coming out of Region 1.
Righteous.
There we go.
Bitchin'.
Tiffany, Vice Chair, I came into this weekend with a 50-50% chance that I would no longer be Vice Chair, and I was mentally prepared for both, and I was actually mentally prepared to just, I've done my time and move on to other things, but it didn't happen. I won by a couple votes anyway, so here I am. So now I'm kind of paradigming, shifting back into, okay, now it's springboard time. All the work is done. Boom, now it's growth time. Maybe we should have a top of the state little contest who can grow, because I'm on the top of the state.
Bring it.
You're at the top of the state.
Bring it.
Yep, that might be kind of fun.
King County will take you all on.
Okay, let's do it.
So because
I'm all about fun competition.
and to be quite honest, because I do have a new job that is 8 hours a day, I can't be on my phones because my employees can't be on their phones 8 hours a day. We have to put social media to the side. I won't be libertying as much during the day as I used to. I used to liberty during the day, in between customers and after work quite a bit. So that day I can't do that anymore. But of course I'm still around. I will also have to lay my county duties and kids out. That now literally affects how many hours I'm at home. So I'll be having to, now that I won Vice Chair, I have no choice but to take kids out, and which is full functioning. They don't really need me that much. But I'll have no choice but to kind of push that off the table too. And then so I'm in this for maybe we can get some bragging rights and wins and good stuff and growth.
So I'm Brett Gordon. I've been treasurer for a very short amount of time. I was appointed in January at SEC meeting, was retained this weekend as my first convention, and I just feel such a sense of kinship and inspiration, and it really is exciting for me because, I've made some quick progress with the state of the PDC filings and everything. I mean, if it has already motivated, now it's just even more so. So
Woo.
we're gonna keep trucking.
Woo. Woo. Woo.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's good. Finally.
There's something very satisfying about putting that through, and it's like, oh, look at all these contributors that
It's
just
called
appeared on the page.
It's called freedom, and we want it on every level, and that's what this is a social freedom, because it's free from the state bindings. I mean, that is just a very important, and that feeling, ride that wave. I just can't wait to see what we all do. This is great.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you all.
Sonny Patterson, it's nice to meet all of you, and,
Yeah, we've never met.
and, yeah, I'm obviously Region 6, I'm just trying to learn, there's a lot of great minds here, that have a lot to offer, and hopefully I can glean some of that and take it back to my region and do something. Mostly it's just about, for me, it's just about having conversations and like exploring the ideas about liberty, and trying to share that to the people that I talk to at home.
So I'm Randy McGlenn, and I'm a libertarian.
How many days?
And then we've all been to an NA meeting or an
Well, that's good, 'cause we just share.
The one that's been a good time in our lives.
I have been self-owned, proclaimed since 2008 when I joined National. Obviously, I've been member of the state since 2012. But I am so excited for this team and to have the kind of dynamics that we're going to have. And I'm really excited to see where this board takes this party in the next 2 years. What I hope to see out of this board is a new growth of enthusiasm, positivity, and can-do on building this party, outreach, and getting people engaged in our communities, and showing that we are a force to reckon with in this state. I expect to rattle the cage of Olympia, and we're going to start beating on that front door through the initiative process, through engagement with elected officials, through running campaigns, local, county, statewide, and we are really going to make sure that they take notice to our presence here, because it is our time.
Come on, amp it up.
We're gonna win! So thank you everyone for being here today, and like I said, super excited to work with each and every one of you. Let's spread some freedom. So with that, I put on the agenda here, introduction, pictures. Maybe if we can, we'll just save the pictures portion for last so we can just kind of get through this agenda. I really just wanted to be light touch. No real official stuff today, other than we have some continued business that got put onto the agenda for this meeting. I just looking to, with the expectation of maybe tabling that to the next meeting. Give us some time to just kind of process. And actually, I would really like, I mean, we're gonna hit the ground running for sure, but I would like everybody to take a moment. We busted our behinds getting to this point. And I think everybody deserves to recharge a little bit. Let's regroup, let's talk to our folks in our regions and our counties, and let's just kind of re-energize. We're gonna come back to this April meeting and we're gonna hit the ground running. And we're gonna get some stuff done. We're gonna start setting an agenda, objectives. I want some goals. I want you to think of some goals. I want you to go to your regions, go to your counties, and determine what are some of the goals that they see that they want to achieve. So just kind of think of that. We'll come back fresh, ready to go, and we'll just start developing that plan and acting on it. So, Ms. Hurd.
May I piggyback off of what you just said? For all region reps, if you need something or would like something or think, hey, there might be something that we can do a little bit differently, talk to me, because I'm here to facilitate you. You guys are the workers, so put me to work for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you. Mr. Leckman.
And piggybacking on what you just said, I think it would be a good idea for each of us, do what we just did with all of our party members through an email. Just a short intro, your picture, we'll send it out to everybody, not just the region they apply to, but everybody, so everybody can see who everybody is.
Would this be one email from?
One email per person.
Oh, per, or
Yeah.
from the state with all of us in?
I'll do it. with my
From the
list.
state, I think would be.
Yeah. So if you give it to me, I'll put it out there.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Okay, so like I said, we'll do the pictures at the end, so we'll go ahead and just dive right into this. So this is a rare opportunity that I get to have. We don't see these on our agenda, well, this is the first time since I've been chair that we got to have one of these items on our agenda, but we do have a resolution to read for the board. This was passed by the convention of delegates on the 30th, so I'll go ahead and read that resolution now. Resolution by the Libertarian Party of Washington, presented before the Convention of Delegates on this 30th day of March in the year 2019, regarding the contributions of Mr. Michael Wilson to the Libertarian Party of Washington. Whereas Mr. Michael Wilson has been active member of the Libertarian Party since 1st of August of 1980. Whereas Mr. Michael Wilson has contributed countless hours of his personal time and treasure to promote, advocate, educate, and communicate libertarian ideas and philosophy. Whereas the sharing of techniques and methodology by Mr. Michael Wilson to engage the public on libertarian philosophy and ideas has helped new members and staff to produce notable results in the public awareness of libertarianism. And whereas the results of Mr. Michael Wilson's efforts has resulted in multiple generations of individuals reached by the Libertarian Party. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Libertarian Party of Washington grants membership with all privileges that paid membership enjoys to Mr. Michael Wilson for the remainder of his lifetime. Grants access to all events and functions offered by the party free of charge to Mr. Michael Wilson for the remainder of his lifetime. And proclaims our gratitude to Mr. Michael Wilson in perpetuity. By the authority of the delegates of the Libertarian Party of Washington, I have signed it on 30th March 2019. And I now submit this resolution to the Secretary for certification.
And who will be responsible for getting that document to Mr. Wilson?
I will make sure that it's scanned in digital form. We can email it to the county chair and a copy to Mr. Wilson himself.
Can we go further the newsletter?
Absolutely.
Cool. Does he get some sort of a plaque?
He does not,
Maybe
but we
make
can
it-
certainly make something for him.
Something, a keychain or something that you can bring.
Or even a lifetime.
Laser. I can do anything. I'm a maker, so.
Yeah, like a name card or something would be a cool thing.
Lifetime member of LPWA.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Lifetime member LP.
We could engrave a nice brass plaque, yeah, nice. So, yeah, if you have some ideas or some design, please let us know. We'd love to take a look at that. So, yeah, I think it would be nice for him to have something, so. Okay, on to continued business. Believe it or not, we actually have an item left over from previous SEC meeting that the previous board decided it was best to table until this meeting with the new board. And this is regarding the membership data sharing policy. Now, I apologize, I don't have the exact document that was submitted from Mr. Welty regarding the policy, but the discussion points were that we develop a policy that governs the process for sharing membership data to the counties and the process of coordinating and actively distributing that information. And so, as many of our former, from the previous board members know, I mean, we do have a policy in place. It just has not been fully codified yet. And we certainly should put into our standing committee rules a process for doing that. And so the objective is to have this board discuss those rules agree on the process, and then we will commit it to our convention, standing committee rules. And that will govern how the officers, the SEC, further disseminate membership data to its county affiliates and other organizations. So I would, at this point, like to just table that conversation, though. I don't think it's really the right time to discuss that today, but certainly have that continue to the April meeting so that we can have a much better conversation about that. So I will move to table this item. May I have a second, please?
Second.
It's so seconded. Any discussion on tabling this item? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of tabling the membership data sharing policy, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. On to new business. A quick conversation about the audit committee. It is the responsibility of this board to establish an audit committee immediately after the convention. Obviously, it's pretty quick to start talking about who's going to be on that audit committee. At this point, what I'd like to do is just task this board to seek out potential candidates and submit recommendations to the chair, and then I will consider those candidates and submit that list to this board for the process of vetting and approving of those candidates. So, Ms. Lightheart.
Can you just briefly describe exactly what an audit committee is for and what they do?
So the audit committee,
I figured you
yep,
would.
the audit committee was established by the delegates in 2017 to review the financial records of the party and to have oversight over the business transactions of the organization. This came out of some concerns about the transparency and functioning of our finances in previous years. And so we concurred that that was something that was necessary to provide some level of oversight over the organization as a whole. And so therefore, we are now obligated to make sure that we appoint a body to that audit committee. There's a recommendation of 3 members, so 1 chair and 2 members. Mr. Leckman.
And who can be on that committee?
Who can be on that?
Who can be on that committee?
So they must not be a current office holder of the organization. So it must be a member who is not currently holding any position within the party.
Any amount of time they have to be a member?
There's no prerequisite for duration of membership.
If King County is an affiliated county, does that mean King County officers can't either? Is that meld? I don't know.
That is a good question. From what I understand, it is on the preface of the state party organization.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So at this point, I didn't intend for any particular motions or any decisions to be made on at this point, but is there any other questions regarding that? Mr. Nicholas.
Margaret would like to serve on the audit committee, but not necessarily be the chairman.
Very good. Okay, we will have her list, or her name on the list so that we can review that.
Okay.
Ms. Hurley.
What kind of time commitment would these people be expected to do?
They would serve on this audit committee for the duration of this board's term, so 2 years.
And about how many hours a week would you think that would be required?
We would expect a monthly report from the audit committee. So at the very least, the commitment would be the amount of time to sit at the board meetings to offer a monthly report on any particular items for review. Mr. Leckman.
So this subcommittee would be overseeing basically everything that the treasurer is doing and monitoring all the financial transactions as they happen over the entire term.
Right. Essentially, it is to reconcile, for example, the PDC reporting, any other government entities that we need to be reporting that. So it's making sure that we're doing our due diligence to meeting all of our statutory requirements.
You wouldn't necessarily be overseeing every transaction, but like maybe monthly summaries or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me clarify.
Some kind of verification.
I'm sorry?
Some kind of like not like just taking the that thing.
Like I could just set up the stuff beforehand.
Well,
Yeah, not taking the treasurer word for it, but.
Right, the verification process would be, will the financials match up with what's being reported to the PDC? Because every financial transaction in and out of our party has to be reported to the PDC.
Sure, the stuff that I do, that they're verifying.
Any special qualifications that we might be looking for in potential candidates? Do they have to be an accountant or?
The delegation did not put any specific technical requirements to be on the board. However, I do believe it's the board's responsibility in the process of vetting the candidates that they look for technical experience that would meet the qualifications of the position. Any other questions? Mr. Lichtman.
I just think it's important that we get this committee, this subcommittee up and running as soon as possible in the light of all the comments we made last session.
Certainly, absolutely. And I think, and to add on to that, we need to make sure we have somebody who's gonna be committed.
Yeah.
As you know, now, I do not, my asterisk to that comment is, I understand Mr. Runyon had some serious health issues, and that was very unfortunate. Matter of fact, I hope he's in much better health now. And the sad thing is we didn't get communicated those challenges very well. We understood he was having some problems, but we didn't understand if the problems were preventing him from being able to function as an audit committee. You know, the unfortunate thing is we weren't able to effectively address that in the past term, so we will make sure going forward that we are keeping our eyes on that with all due diligence. Certainly.
I am mentioning this to my husband now. I have no idea how to react, but I kind of want to nominate him. What's the, is it nepotism?
So,
I don't think
if you'd
that
like
should
to,
matter.
if you'd like to nominate him, and I've certainly talked to
He
him.
might kill me for saying this, so.
But you would submit his name to me, I would talk to him, I would interview him, and if I feel like he would be a qualified candidate, I will submit his name to the board for vetting.
Okay.
So.
Seems like a small business owner would be perfect, but they're all too busy.
Just for the sake of moving things along, well, I'd just like to go ahead and move on to our next item, because I know a lot of us would like to get on the road to get back to our homes. So, the 2020 Convention Committee. So we've tended to kind of start the planning for those things later in the year. We realize there's this insurmountable amount of work that goes behind that. And so I'd like to go ahead and start the conversation on that now. And so one of the items I would like to immediately address as well is establishing our 2020 Convention Committee. And that way we're giving them the most ample amount of time to be able to plan this and put it together. Of course, more importantly, I would also like to develop and codify a framework in which that committee operates, so that there is clear, black and white expectations of what that committee does, how they go about doing it, and what are the expectations of them, and the responsibilities. So, and I'd like input from everybody on the board on that, so that way it's not just coming from even though it's my responsibility as chair to lay the groundwork for that. But I think that it'll be better having some input from the entire board, and then we will just put that into a written policy and make it part of our, yes.
So I think the very first thing that needs to be done that I noticed that it was a hard time organizing was, what is the goal and purpose of the convention? The main, and then the secondary, and then any extras. I think that having an absolute understanding of what we are trying to accomplish, so maybe with, it's not just the theme, it's not that, but what are we going to be doing? Obviously, I think it's going to be the presidential election. Is that what we're all thinking? Okay, so maybe we could make that be the focus, and which means we'll know what we're going to do before convention, which means bringing people in, getting them to vote. And I think we could kind of base that off of that plan, which is a great plan to get that kind of set up. And then we can achieve our goals based on that to get to that next convention. I mean, that's a really great stepping stone. I think it's a really good goal. I don't know, just an idea.
I think we have the logo.
Yeah.
Right before president.
So, absolutely, not only will we have presidential candidates going through, they're going to be seeking our support, but we're also going to be selecting delegates. I think that's a process that we need to take a look at and improve upon. If you heard my speech, one of the things I talked about is, if you want to go to national as a delegate for the state, I would like to see your commitment to representing this state. But one of the comments that have been given to me by a member of the state party here is that they would go in, sit down, and half the table was empty. Where was all the other delegates? And I know we've had a conversation that, well, some people just don't like bylaws. Some people don't like discussing. Well, and so we need to kind of have a conversation around that and understand, if you're going to be a delegate of Washington, what do we as a state party expect from you? And you know, I'm not saying that they necessarily are forced to have to sit their butt down and sit at that table for 8 hours a day for however many days they do business, but I think that there should be some level of expectation that on issues that are important to us, that they're helping to convey those priorities from our delegation to national. And at the very least, coordinate a plan to say, we will make sure we have at least so much representation there. Of course, we want people to be able to go to do other things there and hear speakers and take some of the training courses and other things that are going on. But I think that there's a conversation we haven't necessarily had with our potential delegates. And I actually believe that maybe having that more formalized process will build some respect for that position, and we actually might see better engagement from people wanting to be a delegate of the state. Mr. Nichols.
Well, one thing, I think we had about a third didn't show up and it said they were going to go, which is kind of normal, but yeah, if we can at least get them to show up, you know, not necessarily sit for CMB, but show up at least.
Raylene and then Michelle.
I just want to be quick. I would really like to talk about specifically fundraising for delegates. I would like to do a scholarship thing, and that way it votes. People would have to compete to be delegates. I think it's kind of a great idea, instead of just whoever wants to go. It would be, their trip would be mostly paid for, and then we would really vote for people who we know would represent this party in an awesome way for Washington State.
Michelle, and then.
Is this how this is gonna go? You're just gonna steal my thunder?
Well, I guess it's a great minds think alike, Michelle. It's just, let's just part of that.
Also, another thing I would like to see, if we're gonna go that far, is to review what's gonna be coming up at the national convention. What we can do is we can go, this subject doesn't matter to us. But if you're gonna be a delegate because this subject really matters to us, and by law, A to Z, Y, X.
It's gonna be candidates at this point.
Yeah.
Well, but you know what I'm saying, you know, whatever, like for future, you know, yes, I know that, but what represents our state the best? You know, just like, and make sure they're at least there for that voting process. And that's all you know what I mean? So it's like, the expectation is to have them there for what counts for our state. And there's a lot that don't apply to us, doesn't do enough to go, yawn, I'm still here, why am I here? Fall asleep, this means nothing to me because you want to switch an eye with an and or whatever. So I get some of that, but, you know, maybe consider going over the national agenda before, you know, because they do.
And you know when you can take breaks too.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Michelle, and then that's right.
Well, I had one more thought on what you're saying there. The fact that we're starting really early, we can really prepare. I know the first time I ever went, I had no clue what I was getting into.
Right.
We could even have an opportunity where they get to come watch this is what you're signing up for. This is the process, you know, video. Push.
No, we don't want to scare them away.
He's out, I'm out. No
Well,
way.
there are policy walks in this party that would love, you know, if their ticket was paid for, they'd be right there.
Just something that I would like anyone who is talking about this lady to keep in mind is that in 2020, we're going to have a community relations department that's been much more established with hopefully volunteer coordinators and event coordinators. So we're going to be poised to help this committee a lot more.
I just got, woo!
See, I knew you should.
Mr. Patterson.
I just wanted to say, like, you know, and Randy, you mentioned it a number of times during this convention, is institutional knowledge. Like, I want to preserve and like document what people encounter and how they deal with different hurdles that we come to in all of these committees, including audit committees and convention. I mean, we need processes. We need to be able to refine those processes and then look at those processes and see where they're going wrong and what we can do to fix them. We need to like institutional knowledge dump as much as we can, I think, during this 2 years that we have ahead of us.
Mr. Flippin.
I'd just like to read off the convention committees, the list. So there's the Convention Organizing Committee, Constitution and Bylaws Committee, the Credentials Committee, the Platform Committee, the Nominations Committee, and the Rules and Resolutions Committee. We need people for all of those committees.
How many people approximately are in each committee?
There is no minimum other than one.
That's national?
That's ours. It's in our CNB, all those committees.
I'm wondering if it would be possible to put out a call to the counties, I guess maybe this is my responsibility, regional rep, to reach out to counties to build those, you know, the SEC can appoint the director or the chair, and then we would each be responsible for 2 or 3 people to recruit to serve on those committees.
Right, and yes, absolutely. If you have somebody who is interested in chairing them, please get them in touch with me so that I may consider appointing those and having those chairs be nominated by the board. If you have other members, make sure once we establish those chairs, we need to make sure that they get in touch with those committee chairs and work with them, and we'll recommend any members to those chairs so that we can build a good cohesive, absolutely.
May I ask a question of Larry? When we're recruiting somebody for a position like this, what should we prepare them for in terms of time, commitment, at various stages of the
Which
process?
position?
Well, for the committees, your
Oh,
experience with planning committee, you know, how do we make sure we have people that are willing to contribute at the various, phases? I know the early phase, not a lot of time, middle phase, a little more time, final phase, a lot of time. What would you say would be a good time frame to explain what their commitment is, so they don't sign on and then.
Yeah, I don't know, well, Randy's talking, like, for instance, the audit committee, talking to them personally, kind of getting qualification and background, kind of vetting them. So we're talking about all the director positions, right?
Well, I'm thinking of the convention committee,
Oh,
because you
convention
have
committee.
familiarity with,
Oh.
you know, organizing.
when I'm asking
Wow.
someone to be involved, how much of a time commitment is it at the various phases?
Okay, gotcha.
So maybe an outline for next meeting, we can do that, because it's kind of a long one, so.
Yeah, the last 3 weeks or so, it's been like, I don't know, 40 hours a week.
Oh, that'll scare people off.
Tiffany, did you have something?
I just wanna mention, I gotta go catch a ferry, so.
Yes.
Me
I
too.
moved the table to April.
She's with me, so.
Yep, can we get your pictures before you go, or if you'd like to submit a professional?
What's this for?
It's just so we can put something on the website or
Oh,
on the email.
can I
or-
submit one?
Yes.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
I have an action item right there.
We,
We should probably do it.
we could at least do a group photo.
That's fine, that's
Okay.
that's a good idea.
Okay,
Okay,
let's recess for a group photo real
And then-
quick,
okay,
and
then
then we'll
we'll be
wrap
gone.
up and then.
okay.
Do you wanna stand on the stage? Is it kinda dark on the stage? Okay, maybe back here? Maybe against this wall here?
Be in front of the clock.
Yeah, show how late you've been working.
Yeah.
Who's the other brother?
Who's taking the picture?
Somebody
Who's
who's
taking
camera
the picture, by the way?
take the picture.
Charles, are you?
I'm streaming, so I can't like.
I got my phone here, so we want to
Yeah.
take a picture of my phone.
You know how to do that sort of thing?
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, like, when you know.
well, I'm not pro at this. Why do
I know.
get your shit together?
Yeah.
Now, definitely go to the street a little bit.
And then you turn to,
Oh.
you guys should be turning
Yeah.
all this like in. Yeah, there you go. Let them draw a picture, guys. Get them.
There
it is.
That was very cool. I didn't go to prom.
Oh, man.
Let's go there. You guys go scoot back a little towards the wall, and if you guys scoot down just a little, everybody can get ready to come out there.
Oh, that's.
What are you doing, Mark? Okay, 3, 2, 1, celebrate. Three.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Michelle's one more. Michelle's.
Oh,
Sorry.
Well, if we're gonna get to anyway.
Is that good?
Yeah.
You got it?
Looking at me, look amazing.
Thank you.
I got to reach your photography. What's that? Only because of Photoshop.
Sorry, Randy.
No, that's okay, we're at open discussion,
Okay, good.
so. no problem.
Okay, bye guys, love you guys.
Thank you guys, Randy, congratulations.
Here we go.
Good job, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you. We're here.
Yeah, here we go.
Thanks for videoing,
All right.
lady. Good secretary. Secretary. Love you.
Love you too.
And I can't wait to meet your wife.
Oh, yeah.
Sunny.
Yeah.
Might be
Here.
sure.
You're lovely.
All right,
So, are we tabling? What are we doing?
we're not making any motions or anything, it's just discussion at this point. So no motions are being made.
I love you, Jacob.
I love you
They'll show up next
Love
month
you
as
too.
continued business.
All right, you too. Love you both.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and bring us back to order. And so now we'll move on to open discussion. And just for anybody who's new on this, open discussion is a period for discussion from our members and our board that will only include non-binding issues, requests for items to be added to the agenda for the next SEC meeting, commentary, etc. So this section of our meeting, we don't do any motions, we don't vote on anything. It's just open conversation and discussion. Mr. Nicholas.
At this point in time, what you guys should be thinking about is that next year is the presidential election. We need teams to petition next year to get our candidate on the ballot. And there's a window of time to do that, and it has to meet certain standards. We need teams all across the state. We need to figure out events that they can be there. Then, after petitions turned in, we need to turn those petitioning teams into campaign teams to campaign for the candidate. And also we need to be mindful when the national convention is and make sure the state convention is in advance of the national convention. Maybe 2 months in advance would be great, 1 month is fine, but those are some considerations.
2 months, 2 months. I say 2 months because then if we have any hiccups, then it'll be seen. No, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Anybody else for open discussion?
Go ahead,
Ashton and then Mr. Lamar.
Like he's never had a birthday cake.
The volunteer levels on the agenda to set the number of hours as the bylaws were amended.
Believe the volunteer memberships were limited, I think.
No.
No?
We can review that though, during that time of discussion. Okay. Mr. Lamont.
Yeah, so just keep in mind, next SCC, I was saying this a little bit earlier. The Native Americans, Alan Acosta has reached out to me numerous times. And this won't be in my region, but he wants us to go, the actual Libertarian Party, us SCC members, and anybody else that wants to come, and get a tour of the facility that was built on Native land illegal. And then also introduce to the leadership, the tribal leadership, because they're sick of the two parties. They haven't done anything, they make false promises to the tribes and do nothing, literally nothing, every session. And then, you know, they do the typical politician thing. Well, at least I introduced it, and then it gets killed in committee. I did my part, vote for me again. And they really put nothing behind it. So, right now, especially right now, it is prime pickings. And I don't mean that in an objective way like, oh, the Native American community. I mean that they're searching for us, and they don't even know it. And I know a lot about Russell Means, and so does Alan Acosta. And we made a good connection last night. And actually, I was part of the American Indian Movement support unit here in Washington through my early activism when I was younger. And Russell Means was a hero of mine. And so I know a lot about it. I'm a good connect. Me and Alan will do most of the footwork. But if we could pull the SEC and have us do like literally a field trip to the tribe, and then take a tour of the facility and talk to them about how they got dicked over, would be like, just us showing up there is more than any of them have done, right? The other two. Just us being involved and all of us showing up will impact them on such a great level that you guys wouldn't believe it. I mean, it is like fertile ground right now. And there's, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's something that I want to bring. There's a couple other things that I want to bring to the table, but I'm waiting on people following up with that. But that's one that I know Alan will definitely follow up with, for sure. He's gonna get it in my hands before the next SEC meeting, and I'll present it to you guys.
Terrific. I was gonna say, if you could provide like a time frame, which
Yeah.
you could organize that,
Yeah.
I would be fully on board in making that. We'll make sure that we invite the press.
Yes.
We'll put out press releases.
See.
And we'll make a huge public event of it. Mr. Nicholas.
I have a little different take on at least the Northwest tribes. The tribal councils are in the pocket of the Democratic Party, and they're doing whatever the Democratic Party wants. The tribal members don't necessarily agree that way. Right. Now, how you reach the tribal members without the council, I don't know, but the councils aren't, they might, just listen to us a little, but they won't do anything with us, you know. They're doing whatever the Democrats want. You know, we've seen this in Bellingham where the Lummies will object to something on the waterfront because the Democrats don't want it to happen. Doesn't necessarily meet their needs. They're objecting to industry in Cherry Point, even though their tribal members work at Cherry Point. They're objecting to development there. So I have a little different take on how you reach them and who you try to talk to there.
Well, just to say this, yeah, we're not talking about Lummies a little
Well,
bit.
and a lot of the other Northwest Nuxac, same way. I think Swinomish is that way. The Tulalip's are definitely that way.
I believe Colville's in Eastern Washington or something.
Even Colville.
Yeah, well, but I mean, according to Alan, who's been working hand in hand with them, So, I mean, I'm just
I
telling you
would rather
guys.
try to present this.
He might have kind of an inside connection.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He seems to be optimistic about it because I guess just this session, I think it's Soonerish tribe was like, to hell with that.
Yeah.
Because something happened. I didn't catch it all because I was like in the middle of.
And he may have different connections, different situations,
Right.
south-south.
Yeah, who knows? But I think it's, I mean, we'd be remiss not to take up the opportunity, in my opinion, just to give it a shot.
To that, your point, Jacob, the political landscape is changing a lot, Larry. I mean, we're seeing the union, speak out against, I mean, there's intention, so maybe that's what's happening here.
Could be.
It's changing, it's evolving, and they're looking and going, well, these Democrats aren't doing it for us.
Haven't seen anything of that, like that, yeah.
I would, it would be cool if that could coincide with the next SEC in-person meeting.
Yeah.
That would be good. Alan come by there, so.
Yeah.
In our next SEC in-person meeting, it's the middle month of each quarter, so it was January, February was an in-person, March, April, May is our next in-person meeting. That's probably a good sound.
And we
bite to
have
put
to,
out there.
and we have to go to Spokane, don't we?
No. But
Payback's a bitch, Jacob.
it is in the queue for sure. I want one in my own court in Tennessee, so I travel for every one of those.
Yes, yes, I give you kudos.
It'll be August, the one,
May.
August after May.
Let's see. August, yes.
Oh.
October, November
Yeah.
would be the next one. Yeah, I know there's some tough months in there, and you know, with the way it looks, when you really think about it, every month's gonna be a tough month in one way or another. So-
Spokane in May isn't bad though.
Yeah.
Spokane in August is worse.
Yeah.
This
I don't
is a
want
good
to.
point.
Yeah, if we're gonna do a Spokane one, we might want to do it a little bit cooler month. Yeah. Why not?
We'll just, okay, so we won't make that official yet, we can certainly make that official, next month. I'll go ahead and start working on, a venue for May. By that time too, the Spokane County Party should be back in operation again, so I'm working with some individuals to get that back off the ground. So that way, that'll be a good time, so, excellent. And Ms. Ritter?
Just a question, on Facebook, Mr. Rowland has requested, a list of the new SEC members. I was wondering if we could get that out.
Yes, absolutely. We should probably put out sort of our own press release, if you will, of the election results. And I think Mr. Leckman was talking about doing some posts and some emails about that
Do a
as well.
MailChimp.
So within the week, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I'm already preparing, I already have several documents prepared.
Okay.
I want to get them all prepared.
I'll just tell them to, stop it.
All right. Any other discussion?
So, I'm good that you and I talked about it earlier, and I'm quite sure what the process is for this. I understand that there is an NPC communications director, and I've offered to put my hat in the ring for that. I've talked to Renee, talked a little bit to Emily. We kind of see this as, there's almost a triad, with the outreach, events, communication. We're all sort of gonna be working together. So I'm not exactly sure what form that'll take, but I'm willing to toss my hat in the ring to the communications director spot and get the website. You and I would probably be working together to, get what we want to get up there. So anyway, I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, you and I should talk about that, and then what'll happen is, I would do a formal, recommendation, appointment, and then what happens is the board, will, there's the proper term, I can never, it starts, whatever the.
Ratified?
Essentially, yeah, it's along those lines, essentially. I would appoint, the board would validate that appointment, so, but yes, so certainly we should talk. I have the job description, for that position. What's that?
Confirm.
Confirm. Thank you. I thought
There you
it
go.
starts with a V all the time.
Catharsis is my middle name.
Oh, thank you. Yes, confirm. That is the word.
I just have one follow-up question, and when we need to wait until the next season, you know me, I'm ready to go.
Oh, I know.
So, would we wait until the April SEC for that? So in the meantime, could I be working with, Emily and Raylene to just start
Sure.
the ball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We can always use any help we can get on any level. So, you know, just, it's a formality process, and of course, you know, the board must make the final confirmation decision on that. But, you know, we'll have our conversation, and we'll go over that information. We also have to make sure, out of fairness, that we open that position for other potential candidates as well, to which I would have to make that decision, and whichever candidate I decide upon will be the one that gets confirmed by the board. So, so there's that process, and so we just want to make sure that we give that process its time to proceed. But in the meantime, we'll make sure to send you the job description.
Okay.
And so, and then we can have a talk about that. Yes, absolutely. Mr. Reeves, Patterson.
This might be like subordinate to that, but, I know like Layla and I had talked about doing like a new Facebook group that would hopefully be, you know, an official, LPWA group that was specifically for outreach, and have it be pretty heavily moderated, make sure that, you know, people who are on there talking in a way that supports the LPWA, not damages us, you know, type of thing, and I want to explore that possibility.
And I'm glad you brought that up. So let's talk about the Facebook groups for a moment, if I may. We have our Porcupine Thunderdome. Matter of fact, I would actually request the people who moderate that group, because it's not currently affiliated directly to the LPWA, which everybody's like, yeah, okay. But I would love it to actually be named that, if that's even possible. I think that would be amazing. The unaffiliated LPWA group is just like, really? You know, I think it would be more fun, you know, everybody gets it. And I would even go as far as making some quote-unquote rules, which is really just saying, if you are brave enough to put something out there that people are going to respond to, expect to get a firebrand response back. You know, a disclaimer, if you will, because I think many people don't understand the nature of that group. Now, having said that, and with the understanding, that is a group that's completely its own entity in its own life, and I think it should stay that way, for the purpose of saying, hey, we're going to keep our hands off of it. We're not going to moderate it, because it's self-moderated, if you will. Let that be. Let people be able to say what they want to say. My intentions in creating the Washington State Community Group was to have a moderated group where members were able to have discussions, discuss ideas, share events, communicate things that are going on in the state party, and have a dialogue. I don't know what happened where it got interpreted that this was kind of a broadcast only, no, you can't talk about anything type of a deal. That was never my intention. And so I want to set that straight, is that was supposed to be a community group, open discussion, but yes, everybody has agreed to play by the rules. So your freedom of association and willingness to join that group means, okay, I accept your terms. I will play by these rules in this group. I mean, you and I had that conversation about it. So, so that was my intention with that. Mr. Lake.
So what I've seen is that there's going to be objections to any moderation or any enforcement of rules. So let me finish though. So if you really want to have a members-only area for discussion between members, and you do want to moderate it, then we need very concise and clear rules, which I don't think we really have. We have kind of a general statement.
So in order to join that group, there's a questionnaire. And it says, do you agree, these are the rules, do you agree, and are you a member? You submit it. That has to be vetted by the moderator of that group before they can even join. So I think the rules are there. If they're not, let's make sure they are there.
They're not.
Okay, so let's make sure the rules are there. And we're gonna have to probably, because they were there at one point, so what we need to do is we need to make a post. These are the rules. When you joined, you had said you agreed to some rules. If you don't remember the rules, here they are. If you disagree with them, then you need to leave the group, or by staying in the group, you have consented. So Mrs. Emily and then Ms. Coleman.
So when I first gave my presentation, I had talked about making a members-only area on our website, away from Facebook. The centralization leads to a stronger brand. It leads to people being curious and checking our website. So more involvement, more clicks, and if we can make a communication site that's members only, we can offer a lot of things to our members via the website, as opposed to, there are a lot of potential pitfalls if we move forward with this on Facebook. It's just harder to control all the way around, and I don't mean control like, in any nefarious sort of way. Just if a moderator is sick, they might just, I don't know, vet someone who isn't a member, for example. But if we give our members like a code to access that on the website, there's no need for risking human error. I love
Mr. Lamont is supposed to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But then we'll come back to you, so Mr.
Yeah, the problem I see with the community group, and it wasn't our original vision for it, right, when you and I were talking, and it turned into, I don't have a problem, like if it gets heated, just saying, hey, take it to the dumpster fire, or the Thunderdome, or whatever you want to call it. But it's so repressive that I don't know what I can post on there and what I can't, and what's going to be taken down, and if I even want to comment on anything, because I know it's going to be like so put under the microscope. I don't even want to be a part of the group, to be honest with you. I don't even go on there because I can't even breathe in there. It's like, it's the antithesis of libertarianism. It's turned into that. See, if anybody disagrees, somebody pops up and says, no, they disagreed, and then they're taken off. And that wasn't Randy and I discussion at all. You can disagree and still be civil, and you could still, the idea was to post something that had a movement in it, something moving forward in the right direction. And how are we supposed to have civil discord or grow on that idea if we can't have any civil discord? That's what I meant. So it's like, that's how you grow as an organization, is any business I've ran, I throw something out in the middle of the table and then people nitpick it apart. And I want them to do that because that's how I improve as my business. And I need that. If I cut off all outside input to my business, my business is going to stay stagnant. It's never going to grow. And I was hoping that the community group that you and I discussed would go that way. It hasn't. It's like walking into Nazi Germany, and it's just like, I don't want to post anything there. Fuck that. That's how I feel. Because if I do, then you can't do that in here. You can't post that in here. That's too whatever. Somebody disagrees, and it's taken down that quick. And I'm like, nope. Not even.
I want to fix that.
Yes.
this kind of goes with both of you actually. I'm almost thinking that we need like a tiered situation, 3 different groups, 3 different purposes. The Thunderdome, I think we, as a recruiter, marketer, sort of a person bringing and hearing what's said, I think we need to keep that at arm's length, and it's fine for those diehards that know each other, love each other and everything, you can go out there and just hash it out. But if some poor newbie, liberty curious person accidentally stumbles into that room, we have lost them forever. So that room can be like way over there, Thunderdome, you have a couple cocktails, go in there. And
Couple blunts.
The community page, I'm glad you clarified, because the community page, I thought it was like a bulletin board that you just post events to.
No.
So the community page can be a page that's members and also liberty curious people and all that. Then your situation, which actually offers value to membership, I want to be a member, I pay my $25, and then I get the keys to the door. It drives people to the website, and that is for members. That's not the people out there, because you know what, you got to pay your $25 to get in here into this special members group, So then we would have this sort of 3-tier, and I think that might solve the problem.
Okay. Mr. Patterson, and then Mr. Leckman, and then Mr. Nichols.
Well, close to what you were saying, to me, like a website is, I'm not interested, because like everything's already happening on Facebook, I get the engagement, I'm already there and all that stuff. But I think we need a members only group that's closed and where any kind of discussion can happen, right? But we also need a public outreach group, and that's more what Layla and I were talking about. And that's moderated. It might even be like whitelisted to where, you've agreed to sort of be in the role of talking to people who are not libertarians, and there's going to be parameters, and expectations. And if there's anything that's not right, then we would sort of privately have that conversation, and take that person into a private chat and say, there's a problem with how you're saying this, and then hopefully get them on the right track as far as how they're doing their outreach.
And before I move to the next speaker, just a quick thought about the groups. One thing I want to be careful about is that we have so many groups, things get lost in the
Groups are supposed to.
Yeah, and we have region groups. We have 2 statewide groups, if you will, that at least I know of. We even have county groups. We have other caucus groups. And so, now obviously we can't necessarily control what groups create, and that's fine, but at least from the ones that our organization works with, I think we should probably take a good look at that and make sure that if we're going to come up with a new model, whatever that looks like, let's do some housekeeping and let's try to consolidate, let's try to move that engagement in to whatever these new groups are, or whatever groups that are made, so that we don't have people lost in the fray. Because I guarantee you there's been people who've joined certain groups and they're like, I don't ever hear anything, it's crickets. Well, we forgot, or we don't post in that group anymore. And I know that's happened. So I just wanted that point. So, Mr.
To effectively moderate Facebook groups, you need you can't just be one person. You need several people to moderate it, and you need them to apply very clear and concise rules. And the more rules you make, the harder it is going to be to enforce them. There need to be very few rules, but very clear and concise, and we don't have that now.
Mr. Nicholas, and then Ms. Darden.
Just a little bit off subject, meetup groups. We've got a couple people here because I was posted on the Washington meetup and on our class. We should do meetup groups again, I believe. But I want to get off subject in that when I was chair, one of the things I want to do is be able to do telecoms, video and so on with the regular CNC meeting in a location. one idea I had was maybe if Michelle could do a monthly location, we could come down from Bellingham, we wouldn't have to go wherever. And if there's a place to do a telecom, and then have an event, maybe even, you know, some sort of thing. And people from other regions that are close can maybe come to the same one. There's just about, you know.
What do you mean by telecom?
So it's on telecom anyway, the monthly meetings, right?
SEC, Washington.
Oh, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And, but only 1/4 is in person, but we could have in person in different regions.
Oh,
Yeah, a couple of regions together, I don't know, it's an idea.
So, we do have our video conference, bridge that we use for our meetings. And that actually is open any day, any hour of the day.
Yeah.
Everybody here probably knows the code now.
But what I miss is people actually getting together
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
And you know, afterwards have some sort of mixer or something.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
you know, and maybe move that around. But, you know, it's gonna take somebody, you know, tech savvy to set up some sort of a place that can do it. Place that can do it, place that person can do it. But
So Ms. Darnell, then Mr. Lamont, Ms. Jenkins, did you want us?
I didn't know if this was open to other people. I was just gonna ask something.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if Mukilteo is central enough, but I can get the city council chambers,
ooh,
and it's free. So
that sounds good. That would be better.
I can appreciate what Sunny was saying in terms of Facebook being so easy, as I use it. But I've been dreaming of the day where I could have a website to where everything I need is like, I want to go to the office, I'm going to the website. I've got resources there, archives, all, our notes are there, the chat groups are there. We could even, you remember old school days where they had the threads
Yep.
and people would ask
Well, it's
questions?
like Reddit. Yeah.
What's that?
Reddit.
Yeah, but like, it's all there. And see, that offers value to members, it brings us all together, and eventually, Facebook is not so great. Eventually, that would almost be a parallel platform for us libertarians to start training and getting away from being so dependent on Facebook. So, I really like the direction Emily's going with that. I mean, I've thought about it for a long time, it's never happened. I was wondering, from Charles' perspective here, hello?
sorry, my battery's running low.
Is it
So
possible on the website, because you're a tech guy, is it possible to have the Facebook group actually linked into the website? So effectively, it's not a separate chat room, but you're going into the almost like events, but you know what I'm saying? So all our chat rooms from Facebook could be in our website.
I couldn't give you an answer right in there. There may be some kind of plug-in or something like that. I believe we're using WordPress for the state site, so it would be in. From a
through the Facebook, or you can come in through the website.
From a software engineer point, yes, you can do it. But
I hesitate to link the problems with Facebook to our website.
Okay.
The one thing you can absolutely do, and then we'll get to Mr. Lamont, is there is a Facebook plugin for WordPress that will show a stream.
Right.
The
Yeah.
news feed.
Yeah.
So if people can at least see what's happening on
That would be-
Facebook with the party on the website. So Mr. Lamont.
So we have an issue because there are people explicitly will not touch Facebook up in Whatcom County.
Yeah.
And there are other members, some around the state, that will not touch Facebook. Paul Addis is one. He won't go on there.
I didn't even know he was in the party anymore.
Yeah, he still is. Him and I talked personally,
Yeah.
so I knew this. He won't touch Facebook now.
Yeah, I'm not,
Yeah,
to
so I mean-
clarify, I'm not advocating that can't happen, I'm just
Right.
saying, like, that's not what I'm interested in, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right, right. And I get you. It's just, what we're trying to do is make it accessible to all members of all scopes, which there's a huge community that is super anti-Facebook.
And there's a huge community that's on Facebook that's not gonna go looking on a website for anything.
Yeah.
Mr. Eakins.
would you consider an alternative media kind of thing, like Liberdon, something like that? It's decentralized. It's like Facebook or Twitter, except it's decentralized and it's libertarian based.
It's
so hard to migrate people.
competitors to Facebook.
Yeah.
There's a new, what is it? It's a,
Well, there's Mastodon,
yeah.
which is Liberdon's, it's based on Liberdon is run on Mastodon software.
Okay.
Um,
And it's blockchain.
Yeah, it's
social
decentralized.
media. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's designed not to be able to go down.
Is that a separate site or something, a way to design or integrate into?
So
your-
Mastodon is a piece of software, social media software. So you can I could put up a Mastodon server like 15 minutes if I had access to my phone at the moment. And right now, the site I was thinking of was Liberdon, and they have their own site. It's running on Mastodon, and it's kind of like Twitter, but they're more liberty focused. So it's whatever you want it to be. It's decentralized.
So like, yeah, if we did something like that, we could make it a part of our website?
Yeah, you could do it totally, but, as part of the website. Yeah.
Right, yeah, just be, I mean.
Under your own domain. Yeah.
Right, yeah, we definitely, like, the whole point of why I suggest that we make it on our website is to strengthen our brand. We really have to sell ourselves as a business, and that, I think we really fall short in that a lot. Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, decentralization, great, in a centralized way.
Okay, I'd like to go ahead and, did you have something?
No.
Oh, I thought you did, okay. I'd like to just go ahead and, let's kind of wrap things up. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and close open discussion and let's talk about setting our date and time for the next SCC meeting, which is in April. Do we have a particular date in mind?
I can tell you that the 13th of April would probably not be good for many people.
Or the 20th.
Okay.
20th will not work for me.
And next weekend is the 6th, and I will be in Boise, Idaho, so that one doesn't work for me either, and that's way too close. We wouldn't even have enough time to meet notification anyway. So it looks like we're looking at the only possible weekend being the 27th. When is Easter?
Easter. 21st, I think.
Yeah, it's the 21st.
Okay, good. Good, because that would be a train wreck if we had every weekend be bad.
I think I may be in Spokane that weekend, but if it's teleconference, I could probably hold it.
Well, if you are gonna be in Spokane for the weekend of the 27th, the teleconference is hosted out of my office. So you're most welcome to stop by and say hello, have a cup of coffee, and.
Can we go at 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock is usually the time we've chosen. Michelle?
I have a conflict, it's our LPKC convention on the 27th. Can we do it on Sunday?
Yeah.
Always do it on Saturday.
I'm not opposed to a Sunday.
Depends when I'm gonna be at church.
What does everybody else think about Sunday?
We have enough time to ask people who would want to come, if we did it on Sunday, should we do it in the morning or afternoon to accommodate our spiritual needs?
So-
Sorry to throw that wrench.
No, that's.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So, okay, so currently, is there any objection to Sunday, the 28th? How about this? Let me back up a little bit. No, that's Easter, never mind. Sunday the 20th. Okay, so is there a preference over morning versus afternoon? In this case?
Probably later say afternoon, just in light of.
Okay. Because of church, most people go to church in the morning. Okay, so why don't we talk about maybe Sunday at 1 p.m.? Okay, I'm not hearing anybody giving me flack for that, so good.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
trying to get Sundays off, so that might work out just fine.
There you go.
And how long are these meetings?
So I have been improving. We've been doing on average, what, about 2 to 3 hours now? I've really been bad before. We were usually averaging about 4 hours. And
It's on one of them, a couple of them like only an hour.
yeah, because thanks to Mr. Johnson who provided some tips. Sorry, I gestured to Michelle because of King County, but he gave me some tips that I was like, oh yeah, you know what, that does make sense. So, you know, we have a lot of our, discussion agenda items now up front in a way that if you don't submit a report or whatever, we're gonna move past you, so, we end up kind of all talking anyway, but there's a little more emphasis on the brevity and trying to move things down, so. At this point, we have, the proposed date and time for the next SEC meeting as the 28th of April at 1 p.m. I move to set the date and time for that teleconference meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
So, I can't do that. So seconded.
We're on the same page.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, the date and time has been set. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Oh, second.
So
Sure.
seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. We are adjourned.